Hi. I want to talk today about the weird relationship that Chantal seems to have with her viewers. Let's get into it. In an effort to make these videos a little bit more streamlined, I am going to come on here with my face base makeup done, as well as my eyebrows, which always take me a very long period of time, and I feel like I always mess them up when I'm doing it on camera anyway. And we'll just jump right into it. We'll do the fun stuff, which is all the colored cosmetics, because I know that's what everyone's here for anyway. Today I want to talk about something maybe a little bit different than what I think people think of when they think of the word parasocial relationship. The parasocial relationship generally implies that, the palette that I'm using, by the way, is the Creepy Cute palette. This and all other cosmetics that I'm using are always going to be linked down below. I'm also using the Urban Decay Electric palette. I know it's old. I don't care. It still works good for me. And the color I'm going to be using is this color right here. It's called Cold Shoulder. Anyway. When people generally think of parasocial relationship, they think of the relationship bond that viewers will form with their with their favorite creators, right? So someone who's watching, say, like Philip DeFranco or a Sophia Nygaard, they might incorrectly assume that because they know some parts of their life that all of a sudden, you know, they are friends. YouTube, unlike a lot of traditional media, is a lot more personal, and a lot of these creators are very, very small operations, you know. Some of them are. I know that Philip DeFranco, for example, has like editors, writers, he has all of those people, but like Sophia Nygaard, I think is just her and her husband, Tyler, who work on her videos. So it can feel like a very personal endeavor. It's like someone FaceTiming you into their life. That's not what it is, but it can feel like that. And there is the idea of authenticity that is present when it comes to YouTube channels and YouTube videos that isn't there when you are talking about, you know, like traditional media. And that's the way that I've normally seen it. What I've seen is people who form unhealthy attachments to people who they are creating, whose content they're consuming, right? So I'm talking about, think Karate Joe and Chantal, right? Like, they don't know each other in person, and he feels he's weirdly possessive of her. At some point, I actually want to do a video on him because that guy, honestly, like, he freaks me out a little bit. He is very much so a bulldog, which Chantal likes, and that's not the part that I'm worried about. Be a bulldog. Defend the creators that you like, right? It's the other aspects of his personality where he, like, is telling her what she can and cannot do. Like, you are not anyone in her life to tell her what she can and cannot do. You know what I mean? Anyway, what I want to discuss today is the way that Chantal behaves with her audience, the way that she is with her, with the people who watch her. So you guys have noticed, Chantals Channel has recently, I would say within the past month or so, gone from being sometimes live streams to being almost exclusively live streams. Now, there are a couple of reasons why she's done it. Me personally, I think, is that because it's still eking out a good enough living for her. Chantal likes doing the thing that is like the easiest and that is like the least amount of energy for her. And, you know, okay, you know, you do you. I don't think her channel is going to grow if she continues like this, but that is neither here nor there. What I can say, though, is that because she's been doing this, she's been getting on live a lot, and she's been talking to the people in her community. Now, Chantal's always done that. She has got a lot of people who she mods, people who are, you know, who will say anything complimentary about her. All of a sudden, you know, they're people that she likes and that she relies on, even if the only thing that they really have to offer her is the fact that they support her. They can be awful people in every other regard, and Chantal is still willing to back them because to her, support of her is more important than any other characteristic that they could have. More on that later. And she's been interacting with them more and more and more. Now, before, when she was talking to her audience, when she was raging on camera about Charlie Gold or whatever, yes, that was difficult for me to watch, mostly just because I don't particularly enjoy any of that. But you know, that's what she used her live stream a lot of the time as, like unpaid therapy sessions. Recently, though, if you guys have noticed, Chantal has gone into full on like Horndog Mode. And because she's gone into full-on Horndog Mode, she is now talking about her personal life a lot on her channel. I'm now using the Urban Decay Electric palette. I'm going to use the color Gonzo right here, and then I'm going to use this color right here, which is Revolt. I can't like read when it's upside down and backwards. I'm going to use these two colors right here. She is using a lot of her time now to talk to her audience about her personal life. She'll go on dating apps and, you know, she'll take people along FaceTiming the whole time, meeting people up in, you know, in their cars and all of that junk. And she'll like FaceTime immediately after. She'll tell you, okay, well, I got to go right now, but then when I get home, I'll order some dinner and then I'll FaceTime you guys again. And at first I thought, okay, well, this is her life. This is her content. Nothing about it really struck me as being very odd when she first started doing this, when she first started talking about her personal life. I'm just making a little bit of, I'm just like darkening the crease right now. I'm using that color Gonzo and I'm putting it right in my inner, like outer corner right here. And I'm sort of fading it into that lighter blue. It didn't really concern me because I was like, all right, well, this is what you want to talk about on our channel. And that makes sense to me, right? This is part of her life. But the longer that it goes on, the odder that relationship seems to feel to me. So one of the things that you guys have probably already know about at this point is that she was talking to a guy who we shall call Nicholas. She also called him Nicholas. I don't know what it is, if that's his real name or not, but Nicholas, right? I think from Tinder. And so she was talking to him and she met him for a few minutes in a car. She went completely gaga over him. And then he ghosted her, like kept rescheduling when to meet up with her, and then he blocked her. This isn't blending as well as I would have hoped. So you guys can see it's creating like a patch right there. It's very upsetting. And he ghosted her. Right, she came on video and she talked about how he ghosted her. Now, that's actually a pretty shitty thing to do. I'm not going to say that I've always been mature. I have done this to a couple of guys that I was dating. But like it was like the tail end of our relationship. They kind of knew where it was headed. And then rather than having a mature closeout conversation, I like ghosted them. I'm not proud of it. Honestly, it's one of those things about me that still haunts me to this day. I have a lot of guilt over it, and I've reached out to the people where I can and like apologize for my behavior. I've done this twice, basically. And I've apologized for my behavior, and I am incredibly sorry that I did that. I should have been more mature and dealt with it. In my defense, I was like 20 years old, but like I was still an adult, and I should have known better, and I didn't. Anyway, Chantal is telling all of these people all of the personal stuff about her life. She's telling them how she met him and how she likes him. And, oh my God, he was so cute and he had such great teeth. And, I don't even have ovaries and I want to have his babies. I would once more like to remind you that she's met this guy for 15 minutes, right? And she met him in a car and she met him through a hookup app when she was advertising that she wants a hookup. She went full like fatal attraction levels of crazy on this guy. And then he ghosted her. And then she was mad and she put all that information up online. Now, when she was making those multiple videos talking about him, her audience were always there and they were always gassing her up. They're always saying, yeah, you should do this, you should do that, blah, blah, blah. And the thing is that Chantal has a habit of like, she's very, very good at making those like long-term plans with like zero follow-through, at least in terms of her weight loss. But Chantal's pretty good at planning. She's not good with the follow-through, right? And here these people are really gassing her up to take a course of action that they would never themselves take, but they're pushing her to do it. And part of it is that Reddit mentality. If you guys aren't aware, there's a subreddit on Reddit called Am I the Asshole? And a lot of times people will post in there like, what should I do in this situation? And even if they're not the asshole, people are like, you should cut contact. They sound toxic. And I come out a lot of times in those interactions thinking to myself, that is not a practical way to live. Yeah, you can do that. And yeah, a lot of times people do shitty things. But if you don't have the ability to talk to people and deal with it like mature adults and move past it, even when they're the ones in the wrong, you're going to end up self-isolating because no one is perfect. You yourself are not perfect, right? And so if everyone treats everyone the same way, then yeah, you're gonna end up alone. I'm sorry, but that's just how it's gonna happen. And having this community of people egging her on to behave in this particular manner, texting him more often than maybe she should have, pushing for more than I think the guy was comfortable with, I think it really put her in a weird place with him. And I think he got freaked out and he left. Yes, he should have let her know, but that's what happened, right? And it made me realize Chantal is using her audience, not like before where she was using them for essentially free therapy, which is not something she should be doing. But she's using them in place of friends. And she even refers to them as that sometimes. She's like, you guys are my friends and whatnot. And look, I really like you guys, right? Like, I appreciate my audience for all that I have. But if I have a personal problem, especially of a romantic variety happening in my life, you guys wouldn't be the people that I would come to ask for opinions. First of all, you guys don't know partner, right? So you guys don't know the other person in this relationship. And so it would be hard for you to give an objective opinion. Second of all, if you guys only you guys are only watching this channel because you guys like me. So by that logic, any content that I make is content that you like, and therefore you like me. I don't know why I just resaid that. But therefore what it means is that you guys inherently are going to favor me. You're already biased. How can I get an objective opinion of whether or not, my behavior is okay, whether I should change anything about myself, if the people that I'm talking to are very likely to say, no, you're doing everything in the right because they like me, right? And she's formed this weird bond with her audience because she's using them in place of actual real friends who can give her actual real advice. Part of that is that she likes to self-isolate. But the other part of that, I think, is because Chantal knows people in her actual real life day-to-day are not going to gas her up the way that people on the internet are. No one is going to 100% take her side except for people in the channel. And a lot of these people she only knows in like one facet, right? She knows very little about them. And that's okay for her because the only thing she really needs from them is how they can service her, not the other way around. They don't have a relationship. Chantal's formed a parasocial relationship with the mass of her audience and a few people in there in particular, and it is not healthy. You need people to tell you when you're doing something wrong. You need people to check you when you're behaving in an incorrect manner. If she'd told anybody in real life the way that she was behaving right now, she'd called Reina and said all of these things about Nicholas, Reina would have put her in her place and she would have been like, dude, you're like losing your absolute mind. And having someone there in person look you dead in the eye and be like, you're being crazy, makes a huge difference, as opposed to some people saying, yeah, maybe you're being extra, but the rest of them saying, no, of course, you're being perfectly fine. You're a goddess. Keep doing you. Yes, queen. You know what I mean? The color that I'm wearing on my lips right now is Nars Orgasm. I just got this as a 50-point perk or 100-point perk or something like that. I never bought the whole size. I'm now going to put a highlighter on my cheeks. This is the Laura Mercier highlighter in highlight number 1. I love this stuff. It looks kind of like this. It's very, very like mild. It's not very, it's not a very poppy highlighter, but it's one of the most natural ones. I generally wear this to like, work and stuff like that when I'm going into office. She needs perspective, and people in her audience are not likely to offer that to her. People in her audience are not there to offer perspective. They're there to offer support, and support can be a great thing. I'm glad that her audience is there for her, offering her support and helping her, encouraging her, which is a great thing. I've seen her audience recently, especially encouraging her a lot to do like exercise, to walk. I'm happy about that. But that doesn't mean you should get encouragement and everything. When you're doing something wrong, you need to have people in your life who are willing to call you on your shit and tell you, hey, don't do that. Hey, don't behave that way, because otherwise you end up doing stuff like this. You end up really, really getting emotionally invested in a guy you've barely spoken to. I'm now using Too Faced Chocolate Soleil in deep medium as a contour color. I really like this stuff. This is also, by the way, it was like a gift with purchase or something. This is old. she needs to be checked a little bit every once in a while. She needs to have someone pop her bubble, because otherwise she's going to get upset when stuff doesn't go the way that her audience has said that it will. And it's very easy to place the blame on the other person and say, well, that person was obviously wrong. Like she did. She immediately pivoted to, well, he was really weird. He was like one of the weirdest guys I've ever spoken to. When just the night before she was gushing and gushing and gushing about him. No, he was not a weird guy. You made incredibly inappropriate contact with him. You went from being like, hey, we're having a hookup, which is something that he wanted to do, which is what he signed up for, he thought, to going full on stalker mode on him. Of course he's going to run in the other direction. I would run in the other direction. Any sane person would. That was an inappropriate bond to have formed. If that's not what you want, then you should be clear on your profile. And her audience isn't helping her, and you know, because she likes having her ego inflated so much, anyone who could have checked that behavior has long since been booted out of her community. And the only people left are people who are going to always take her side, or people who are always going to say, yes, you're in the right here. And she's going to get into more and more weird situations like this, because you can't leave your life up to internet populations. Like randompeople.net isn't what you should be listening to when it comes to your personal life. This is a terrible idea. And once more, this is something that you should talk to with a therapist. There should be a therapist involved saying, hey, why are you forming bonds with people on the internet when you've got people in your life? You've got a sister, you've got a mom that you could be ranting to about these things, who could potentially offer you more sane, logical, and appropriate advice, rather than these internet people who don't know the entirety of the situation and who are already biased to take your side. Why don't you go to somebody who like actually knows you and actually understands a little bit more about the situation and can offer you some more legitimate advice? Why don't you want to do that? Why don't you want to be checked on your negative behaviors? And I think that could be a very productive conversation, if only she's willing to have it with her therapist, which I don't know if she will. I don't know if she ever will have that conversation. I don't think Chantal is ever willing to have conversations like that. Anyway, this was a shorter video. I think this is a little bit better. Make a really like short, succinct video, get to the point, get it done, and we're out. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys like this video, if you like this format, give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you guys thought, especially of the format. I really want to know. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Hit the notification bell down below and hit all if you want to know when I upload any videos right away. I've got all my social medias linked down below. I've got Instagram where I've got food stuff, life stuff. I'm going to put up more pictures there. I'm traveling a little bit more soon, so look forward to that. I've got Twitter where I'm a little bit toxic and a little bit petty, but hey, that's where I have all of my opinions. So if you guys want to interact with me or find out what I think about non-makeup, non-girl related things, that's where you can find that. And I've got Patreon. Think of Patreon as the tip jar for the internet. So if you like the job that I'm doing here and you would like me to continue, hey, consider tossing a few coins in my direction. You don't have to. It's not necessary, but it genuinely helps me out and it really makes it a lot easier for me to make quality content for you guys. As always, I'm Jasmine, the sequel, and I am not relatable. Peace. A special thanks to my patrons, Acrophobe Christina, Courtney EP, Gigi Wee, Wild Rose, Jam Beans, Jay Thomas, Lauren Chris, Michael B. Petty, That British Unicorn, Sky Andropolis, Sonia P, Xanthal, Debbie Elliott, D. Higgins, Juliet Q, and Kate O.